I am here with Rhodessa Jones, creator of the Medea Project Theater for Incarcerated Women. She's also co-artistic director of the incredible performance company Cultural Odyssey. They just celebrated their 30th anniversary. And Cassandra Steptoe is a former drug addict who was diagnosed with HIV in 1987. And she says she lived in denial for almost 15 years. And today she is telling her story on stage. Dancing with the Clown of Love is an incredible performance. It runs Thursday through Sunday in San Francisco, and I'll add a link on the site. So, first off, Rhodessa, tell us just about Dancing with the Clown of Love and how you connected with the HIV program at UCSF.
Well, I connected because I was I was sent an invitation by Kamala Harris, urging me to go to the benefit for the Women's HIV Project. She said, "Jim, this is really important. You'll be glad you went." And I was. I met Dr. Edward Mochtinger right away. We ran into each other, and we were just kindred spirits. And a lot of the women who were like actually volunteering knew me from the Medea Project out at San Bruno. And so all of a sudden we're in the midst of a conversation about my work versus what he would like to do, what Dr. Eddie would like to do. And I said, well, let's talk further about connecting with your clinic. And so we began this conversation, and that's when I met Cassandra. It was like, Cassandra will be the person that will help you. He felt like she was the one that got his ideas. And so Cassandra came into the fold. And we started having these meetings with women, we must have talked to 60, 70 women over the last 2 years about this process, about HIV, about being willing to tell your story about HIV or share your story about living with HIV. And my topics come from these kind of human encounters. It'll be a human encounter that will spark the discussion and create interest in a particular subject. And HIV is the one this year for the Medea Project Theater for Incarcerated Women, as well as because the jails are so overcrowded. The Medea Project cannot go back into the jails. We've been working a lot. I've been working a lot in Africa and around the country, and this has been the project that has really held my heart and my mind at home. And it's been a challenge to find a way to get the HIV positive stories on stage and still work for that artistry and that energy that I think makes the Medea Project a tad different than community, the Negro Auxiliary Ball. This is not the Negro Auxiliary Ball. This is theater for the 21st century. Yes, it really
Well,
is.
I saw the piece last weekend. It was so powerful. And Cassandra, you're amazing on stage.
Thank you.
It's incredible to think that for 15 years you did not want to deal with this issue. You say that you lived in shame. And now you're telling your story on stage.
I'm telling my story. I'm standing up. I have a voice. I'm no longer in my addiction no more. I got a voice, and I want to be heard. I want women to stand up, and that's why I'm so into this with Rhodessa, with HIV women, with women, period. I always wanted to work with people with HIV, in addiction, because I've been there, and I never had no hope. But I have a lot of hope now. And working with Rhodessa and these women is very inspirational to me, because that's what I want to do. And I'm no longer in fear, shame, none of that. I'm living my life to the fullest.
What was it like the first time you took the stage?
I was very nervous. But Rhodessa told me there's nowhere to hide on stage.
There's nowhere to hide.
So it's like, okay. And I really I knew there's something inside of me, and somebody needed to bring it out, because in my addiction, I was in my addiction, and to see a new part of me, it felt good. And I know there's something in there. And there's still got to be some work in there that need to be pulled out. But, being part of the Medea Project, I know Rhodessa would do it.
Yes, and we were very lucky that one of the first runouts as we start to build the work, and I also put work from our greatest hits on the women, like She and Nobody Told Her, the so Greek chorus idea of speaking about what it is to be a girl growing up in this culture. So we would go into Senator Mark Leno does the Young Women's Conference every year downtown, and that was one of the first performances that we had, and Cassandra was just so valiant in that. It was like such a perfect vehicle for her because we did the performance, which was about an hour, half an hour long or so, and then it was questions, and she was just right there. I used to worry about how was I going to help them dodge the questions about who has HIV and who doesn't. And these women were so ready to just step up and say, yes, I'm living with HIV, and you know what? This is what you can avoid. They were just giving up the information. It was wonderful. It was wonderful.
Because I want women to stand. I remember being in that place of secret, of
Yes.
living alone and that heavy load on you. And like I said, we all recover from something. And to come out of that and blossom is a wonderful thing, because even if you're HIV positive, you still have a life. It's not a death sentence.
You just got married.
I just got married, to somebody that's negative. So it's not a death sentence. I want women to grow, and that's what I'm aiming for.
Rhodessa, you have been tackling issues that society would frankly rather ignore for 30 years. The work you've done in the prisons. You dealt with black reparations for African Americans last week.
Yes.
So many different topics. Just talk about the importance of that and how this kind of work can bring these issues into our dialogue and get us to really face the reality of what's happening right now.
Well, when I really want to be really basic about it, it's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it. That's one thing. But the other side of it is that people really do want to know. It's back to this finding. Sometimes it's about helping the community find its voice. And God bless San Francisco's various cultures who have all been affected by jail. Largely Latinos, blacks, and Native Americans. And those people were my early audiences as well. They were the people I worked with a lot inside. Samoans. And this colorful array of humanity that lives here by the bay gave me legs. And then the women's community. The women's community, our daughters, our granddaughters, they were some of the first people that just sort of picked up the banner and ran with it and gave the Medea Project its big audiences early on, because it was just things that we also are thinking about, but who do you talk to about it? Or admitting, like Cassandra saying about secrets, admitting that you have a female cousin that's in and out of jail, and that would may have been your favorite cousin when you were young, and all of a sudden your mother's saying, don't hang out with her, or she's always in trouble, and next thing you know, she's doing drugs, or she's been beat up, she's talking differently than what you remember, and you want to be of help, but you want to save your own life. All of these things, I think, these images and questions came into play when the Medea Project first hung its banner out and said, this is theater for incarcerated women. And it was San Francisco's women's community that really stepped up and offered me all kinds of assistance, beginning with Ellen Gavin at Brava, and right down to the women over at Susan Howe over at Zellerback. It was Francis Phillips at the Creative Work Fund. Catherine Tick, who works with Dr. Eddie, and Susan Mochting, these women who are feeling it, and as we've been talking about this morning about how do we deepen the conversation and get women into the streets. Well, the women who don't come into the streets, there is a group of women who are still they're like the sisters who stand at the edge of the well, and they're figuring out ways to get you up and pull you up out of that morass. And I've had those women there with me, so.
Because we all